Welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm your host, Chief David Malloy, Director of Public Safety for the City of Novi, and I'm honored to have on set with us today Sergeant Kevin Rhea from our Training and Standards Division at the Novi Police Department. Sergeant Rhea, welcome to Behind the Badge.
Thank you, Chief.
Sergeant, tell us a little bit about the project that we're working on for our national accreditation, and let the viewing audience know the benefits that's going to have not only for the police department but for the community.
Sure. In July of last year, we started on a process of accreditation with an organization called CALEA. It's a Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. What CALEA does is it establishes the nation's best practices in law enforcement and really gives us an opportunity to look at our directives and make sure that we're following those national best practices.
And there's 480 some standards?
Yeah, 482 standards that we need to meet, and we're pretty close to doing that.
What evaluation phase are we in right now? We've been in this process for almost 18 months, about 14 to 18 months, and where are we? Where do we stand right now in terms of the self-assessment?
Yeah, we are in the self-assessment phase of the accreditation. The self-assessment phase lasts for 36 months before we have the actual assessors here on site in the city of Novi to do an overview assessment of our agency. So we're a little over the third of the way there. So we're looking forward to rising to that challenge and meeting it and having those assessors here on site in early 2017.
For the benefit of the viewing audience, there's hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement agencies throughout the state of Michigan. How many are actually CALEA accredited?
Well, out of the 582 police agencies in the state of Michigan, there are 6 that are accredited, and we would be the 7th, so it's less than 1%.
That's outstanding, outstanding. And what has been the reception? I know we push a lot of documents out for our police officers to review, and one of the things is we've been able to take advantage of a software document management system to where instead of creating all this paper, we can push it out via a web portal. How's that been going?
It's been going really well. We've been using a document management system called Power DMS. And with this Power DMS program, we can put not only all of our policies and directives on Power DMS, but we can also utilize it as a training tool. And the response from the patrol officers has been very positive, and they have access to that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they always have access to our directives.
Yeah, I think it's important that the entire agency have access to all of our documents. And I know with some of the police officers that I actually talked to, when a change is made to a policy or a procedure or a directive, when they log in, they can see the old version and they can see the new version, and it's highlighted what the change is. So it's not a mystery to them. They know what item or what section has been modified. So and it's for their benefit.
Sure. That was one of the challenges that we've had in the past whenever we would make a change to one of our policies or directives. The police officer would always wonder what was the change that was made. And we have some, like our domestic violence policy, that is several pages long, and it may be something small that's changed. But with the Power DMS, just like you said, it will highlight those changes, pull up the old document and the new document, and be able to compare those changes that were made.
And we obviously have the ability, we work with CALEA. They have regional representatives that if we have a question on something, we can always call them and seek assistance or guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a program manager that handles Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, and he happens to be a retired police chief from Norton Shores, Michigan. So he's very familiar with Michigan state law, practices of police officers in the state of Michigan. So he's been a good resource.
Excellent. And particularly in the last year, law enforcement has been under the media spotlight, in some cases rightfully so, and some not so justifiable. But one of the things that I look at in terms of this national accreditation is that we are telling our 60,000 residents, our 2,500 business members, people who come to Novi, we subscribe and we practice, we implement, and we live by the best practices and the best standards.
Absolutely. CALEA itself accredits about 1% of police departments nationwide, less than 1% in the state of Michigan. So we will be in some very good company.
That's excellent for our residents, our business owners, and our personnel and our teams to understand that we are in that top 1% and I look at it this way: it's practicing doing the right thing, not just having it on paper, but backing it up in the way we treat people. I know earlier this year when we went through some of our annual training, one of the sessions that I was able to present was the ethical conduct, and in particular with everything going on, there may be a lack of public trust in some law enforcement agencies by the citizenry, and I think it's important for us to treat every contact we have, whether it's a residential, whether it's a traffic stop, whether it's an arrest, or someone who calls to make a complaint. We got to treat that contact as an opportunity to build trust. And I look at the work that you're doing and all the men and women here in the organization is we're continuing to build that trust by saying we are going to subscribe to some of the best practices known in law enforcement.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. As a matter of fact, as part of this process, not only do we have to have our directives, our policies in line with some of the nation's best practices, but then we also have to start collecting proofs of compliance. It's one thing to say you're going to do something, and it's another thing to prove that you are doing what you say you're doing.
Excellent.
So for the next 2 years, that's what I'll be doing, is collecting proofs of compliance for all 482 standards.
And ultimately, we would, in terms of our time frame, when are we projected to have our on-site visit and then ultimately receive full CALIA accreditation?
Right now, I believe we're projected to have our on-site in the summer of 2017. And that's going to be very important because as part of our on-site visit, there will also be a public hearing where residents and business owners can come and talk to the assessors and tell them their opinion of the Novi Police Department. So
Excellent.
that's a very important part of the on-site visit. So once we have the on-site visit in the summer of 2017, we hope to receive that accreditation in the fall.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all you do. I'm very proud of the work that you've done and all the men and women because this is not an easy venture. It's not something that just one person can do or manage, but we've looked at it as a way to employ or deploy, if you will, all of our subject matter experts, whether it's firearms, community relations, training, operations, support services. It gets everyone involved and everybody understands what that high bar is we're looking to achieve.
There's no way that this could be done by one person. I'm just a facilitator for all of the subject matter experts that work in this building. And it's not just me and it's not just you, it's everyone that works in this building to make sure that they're following those national best
Excellent.
practices.
Thank you very much for all you do. And thank you to the viewing audience for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Badge. Until next time, continue to watch Novi Television.